Alrighty, the end of Slobodan Milosevic, end of his presidency up until the end of his life in 2006. Now, NATO is going to keep the option of ground troops on the table. At this time, initially, all that's going on is airstrikes of Serbia and Yugoslav targets. However, the option of sending in troops is certainly on the table. It is not something that NATO has refused to do. Why they're keeping this option is a number of reasons you could look at, whether or not it gives them a little bit more legitimacy, gives them some more room when it comes to negotiating with Serbia and the Yugoslav forces for an end to the conflict. You could look into that and kind of argue some multiple perspectives, but the fact of the matter is ground troops are still an option. Russia is going to help in the UN, and they're going to hold veto power. Now, again, we've talked a bit about this before, that the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, Russia is one of those 5 permanent members, and those 5 permanent members all hold veto power. So whenever the United Nations Security Council decides to have an idea, they want to do a military intervention, all of them have to agree. If one of them vetoes it, it's not going to happen. Now, Serbia is a close ally of the Russians and vice versa. So Russia is going to hold veto power, and they're going to keep the UN from really being able to implement anything in getting involved, which is one of the reasons that NATO is playing the role here and not the United Nations. One of the reasons the United Nations consistently is going to ask NATO for intervention. Russia, though, is going to eventually come around to support a 10-point ceasefire plan. And the reasoning for doing this is really twofold. And it really comes down to the economy. Number one, the economy of Russia is weak. After the fall of the Soviet Union, which was a major economic collapse throughout all of Eastern Europe and Central Asia, you're going to have Russia, which is going to emerge in 1991, the Russian Federation. It is not going to have a strong economy, and it's looking very, very bad right here in 1999. So their economy is weak, and if they want to survive as a country, they need help from the West. And the only way they're going to get help from the West is if they are going to be supporting the ceasefire. So the president of Russia at this time, Boris Yeltsin, is going to discuss with Slobodan Milosevic, basically stating that he is not going to veto anything anymore, that this needs to happen, and basically the gig is up at this point. United Nations is going to pass Resolution 1244 on June 10th, 1999, which is going to bring a formal end to the war in Kosovo. UN Resolution 1244 is immediate. It calls for an immediate and verifiable end to violence in Kosovo. There's going to be a withdrawal of military, police, and paramilitary forces, just like what NATO was calling for initially when they started their bombing campaign. This is going to be happening, so there's a peace right away in Kosovo, and the military forces have been removed. They're going to establish an interim administration for Kosovo, so a kind of temporary situation where there's a temporary government in place for Kosovo. Again, they're demanding the safe and free return of all refugees, unimpeded access to Kosovo, and access to Kosovo by humanitarian aids and organizations. So anyone who's coming in for a humanitarian reason has free access into Kosovo, and that they will not be stopped from getting into the country. They're going to also declare that there needs to be a political process towards the establishment of self-government in Kosovo, which is going to start giving Kosovo some legitimacy on the international scene when it comes to its establishment as an international country. And it's also going to call for the demilitarization of the KLA, something that Serbia definitely would have supported. The rest of these, they're not going to be very happy with, because again, in the Serbian mindset, in the Serbian perspective, Kosovo is a part of their country. This is a domestic issue. It's not something the United Nations should be getting involved with. There's also going to talk about economic development for the crisis region. So let's try to build Kosovo up. Kosovo is one of, if not the poorest parts of Europe at this time period, lacking a lot of lack of economic development, a lot of lack of the stuff needed to really grow as an economy, and they're going to state the importance for doing this. Countries that tend to have more economic might tend to be a lot more stable, tend to have less war. Poorer countries tend to have more of these issues. So if we develop the economy, this will no longer be a problem. Now, Milosevic is in a politically dire situation. Since he came to power in, I believe, 89, he's lost 4 different wars. Yugoslavia was former fairly decent-sized country has now broken up. He is going to claim victory in Kosovo. He's going to state that we won, we did it. This is a political move only because he needs to try to save face. In reality, he did not win. It is not good. He has lost this war, which is now the fourth war that he has lost since coming to power. We're going to get the establishment of the Kosovo Force, the KFOR. They're going to be run by the United Nations, and their goal is simply to establish a stable Kosovo. It's going to be administered just like this. Okay, you see the region. We're going to have Italian soldiers, German soldiers, United Kingdom soldiers, soldiers from the United States, and soldiers from France, who are going to be here kind of monitoring the situation, ensuring peace and stability in Kosovo. Now, Milosevic is going to be forced to resign the presidency on October 5th, 2000. He's going to be arrested on April 1st, 2001. This is going to be preluded by a 36-hour standoff between his security detail and members of Serbia's police force. Ultimately, he's going to be arrested. The United States is going to pressure Yugoslavia to extradite Milosevic to The Hague to face a criminal trial or lose access to the International Monetary Fund. If you lose access to the International Monetary Fund, your country's economy is more or less down. It's not a good position to be in. This pressure is ultimately going to force Yugoslavia to extradite Milosevic. On June 28th, there's going to be a helicopter lifting him from the prison he was staying at to an American military base. He's then going to be flown to the ICTR, the International Criminal Trials on Yugoslavia, in The Hague. This is going to be an international trial set up to look at the crimes that were committed by all individuals involved in the wars of Yugoslavia. Milosevic is going to get there, and he is going to be charged with a number of crimes. As you can see popping up on the screen right now, everything from genocide, murder, deportation, willful killing, plunder of public and private property, attacks on civilians, attacks on civilian objects, cruel treatment, torture, and termination. The list really just goes on and on and on. So Milosevic is going to be charged with all of these individual crimes. Now, Milosevic is going to be getting sick towards the end. He is arguing, and his lawyers are arguing, that he needs to be removed from The Hague, allowed to go to Russia to receive medical treatment. The Hague is going to refuse this trial or this transfer, and he is going to ultimately die in 2006. Now, the reason they deny this is they said they did not feel that it was needed, that they had adequate medical care in the Netherlands. Considering the fact that Russia and Serbia have a close alliance, it is reasonable to assume that were he to get to Russia, he would be released and would not ever be extradited and would not face any criminal retribution for his crimes. So The Hague did not allow this to happen. He dies in prison in 2006. Federal Republic of Yugoslavia is going to change its name in 2003 to Serbia and Montenegro. In 2006, the same year of Milosevic's death, Montenegro is going to declare independence. So Yugoslavia effectively no longer exists as of 2003. By 2006, the last remnant of Yugoslavia is gone, and Kosovo is going to declare independence in 2008. Now, the recognition of Kosovo as an independent country is really kind of a gray area. It is accepted by a number of nations, however, it's also not accepted by a number of nations. Serbia does not accept Kosovo as an independent nation. Instead, they accept it as a part of their country. If you go to Serbia today and you buy a map or anything like that, Kosovo will be included as a portion of their country. A number of allies of Serbia are in the same position. There's a number of countries that just really haven't taken a stand as well. That is all for now. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you later. Hang tight. Good luck.